Hey, this is Tion, and once again, I've decided to do something stupid. Today, I'm going to be playing Pokemon Emerald only using shiny Pokemon. This is the second and last video of this run. If you guys haven't seen the first video, make sure to go check that out first. Otherwise, this video is only from Winona onward, and we do almost all of the shiny hunting in the very first video. I also go over all the rules for this run in the very first video, so I highly recommend going to check that one out first. There will be a card in the top right, or there will be a link in the description, and I hope you guys enjoy the video. And if you guys genuinely enjoy this video and want to see more content from me, don't forget to subscribe, because this video took me forever to make, but you guys really seem to enjoy the first part, so obviously I'm going to suffer through the second part. Anyway, like I said, I hope you guys enjoy. The next gym leader is Winona. Now, Winona does have a pretty decent team and a Skarmory that definitely does scare me. If Swampert can't take down her Skarmory, I'm going to have to use this Numel, because the rest of my Pokemon are absolutely awful against Skarmory. After only a little bit of grinding, I decided to go try to take on Winona. Now, I did try this a few times, and it seemed like it was possible, but I definitely have to play smart. Winona leads off with a Swablu at level 29, so I end up leading off with my Gulpin. Now, this at face value looks really bad, but the reason I did that is because of that move right there. Pear Song is extremely dangerous, and it really puts me in a bad position. Gulpin actually is able to deal with the Swablu relatively easily, and I genuinely didn't expect that, and I definitely didn't expect the switch to happen next. O ends up going down to a Pear Song here, but that's fine because that gives us a free switch into my Swampert. Altaria ends up going for a Dragon Dance here, and I end up going for a Surf. Now, the reason I do this is because I'm baiting out the Tropius, and I hit it with a takedown doing a good amount of damage. Swampert cannot take down this Tropius, so I end up switching out into Subscribe, and I use Wing Attack doing about 3/4 of its health, and then I take it down with only one more. Next out is Swablu once again, but luckily Subscribe is strong enough to actually one-shot this thing with a Wing Attack, and next out is Pelipper, who hits me with a Supersonic and then Protect, just doing the things that Pelipper does. Since Pelipper landed a Supersonic, I am confused here, and I do end up hitting myself twice, and then I get hit with a Water Gun, but luckily I don't hit myself for the third time, and I get a critical hit with Wing Attack to take it out. Next out is the dreaded Skarmory at level 31. Now, I really don't have much on Subscribe to actually deal with this thing, so I just end up going for a Confuse Ray to hopefully try to hit itself in confusion, and luckily for me, that's exactly what happens as I end up switching out the Numel, but of course he breaks out of confusion only after one turn, as I decide to go for a couple Embers to do some massive damage. I actually end up getting a burn on Skarmory as Winona heals this thing up with a Hyper Potion, but the burn luckily does cut its attack in half, so this thing is a lot less scary. At this HP, one Surf is enough to take down the Skarmory, and last up is the Altaria at level 33, who hits me with an Aerial Ace, and the best move I have on Swampert for this thing is probably Takedown, so that's exactly what I end up going for. I thought Swampert might actually go down here, but luckily I do connect with my next Takedown to take it out, and just like that, I defeated Winona after actually not too much trouble, but it definitely wasn't easy. On my way to Mount Pyre, Numel finally evolves into Camerupt, and I'll be honest with you, I've never seen a shiny Camerupt before, and this thing looks awesome. Literally one battle later, Gulpin finally evolves into Swalot. Now, I'll be honest with you, I don't think that's gonna change anything. Swalot's honestly not that good, but hey, I mean, he looks cool. He's blue. He's like Jello. After battling some grunts, I do make it to the top of Mount Pyre, and I get the Magma Emblem, which is going to be helpful later for getting into the Magma Hideout. Surprise, surprise. Once I make it into the Magma Hideout, it's time to fight Maxie. Now, Maxie's maybe colorblind. I don't really know, but he thinks the Blue Orb is going to work on Groudon, but instead he just gets mad, and then Groudon defies all laws of physics, and he decides to use Fly. And to be honest with you, the Maxie battle is extremely easy, and it wasn't even worth going over. Next, I make my way to the Aqua Hideout, and I'll be honest with you, as I'm sure you guys know if you've ever played Pokemon Emerald before, Team Aqua admin Matt is a complete joke. The 7th gym is Titanizer, who uses Psychic types, and it is a double battle. This honestly is an extremely hard battle to do, and it's a pain grinding all these guys up, so I just come in underleveled, but I paralyzed Brett. The reason Brett is paralyzed coming into this battle is because he has a move, or she has a move, called Facade. Facade is extremely powerful on slacking. Number 1, he's paralyzed. Number 2, it's stab, and number 3, it's a slacking, so his attack is already insane. Swampert also has Surf, which hits both their Pokemon, and it is super effective against 3 of their Pokemon, so of course I'm going to end up just spamming that until Among Us ends up going down. Now, I could make this battle dramatically easier just by wasting hours of my life to grind, but that wouldn't be any fun. The combination of Surf and Facade is enough to take down the Xoctu, and all that are left are Pokemon that are weak to water, and of course we have a Swampert, so this is looking pretty decent. This Crawdal does have Earthquake, which is pretty annoying because it hits both of my Pokemon, and it doesn't hit theirs because because of Levitate, but I see that the Solrock is actually charging up a Solar Beam, and I know for a fact that he's going to try to hit my Swampert, so I decided to switch him out for my Crobat. Crobat's basically going to take nothing from the Solar Beam, and Crawdal ends up taking down my Slacking with a Psychic. I don't want to send out my Swampert quite yet, so I end up switching out into my Camera Up tier, and the Solar Beam connects on Subscribe. It's actually a critical hit, and you can see how little damage I did. I just think that's hilarious, considering how strong that Solar Beam is. Camera Up ends up going down, so I end up switching out my Swampert once again, and I use Bite and Surf to take both at the same time, and now they're left with only one Pokemon, Lunatone. I'm going to do the same exact thing as I did last time. I'm just going to go for a Bite here, plus a Surf, and that is going to be enough to actually take this thing out. Overall, Tantalizer was a pretty difficult battle, and I did have to grind just a little bit, but next up is a problem that I'm sure you guys weren't thinking of. We have to get a Pokemon that can learn Waterfall and Dive. Now, Swampert can learn both of those moves, but he already knows Surf, so if we teach both of those HM moves to Swampert, it's just gonna be awful, and he's not gonna be that good. Tentacool can learn both of those moves, but obviously we could only use it if it's shiny, so that means I have the shiny hunt once again for an HM user, so hooray. I don't stream this run for obvious reasons. I don't have too many people over on the Twitch, and I don't want to flood the YouTube channel with a 12-hour live stream of me going back and forth until I find a shiny, so this was my life while watching hours worth of YouTube videos. This guy right here is the reason this video took so long to get out. I was trying to get this out on Sunday, but it took me so long to find a shiny Tentacool. It was absolutely ridiculous. But we finally found one, and I don't think it's gonna use self-destruct, but dude, knowing my luck, you never really know. I do end up catching the Tentacool without any issues, and I give it the most appropriate nickname I could think of, which of course is Squidward. Squidward would also like to remind you that instead of me taking a ton of sponsors and just shoving them in videos, which nobody likes to watch anyway, I would really appreciate if you would check out the channel membership options. I literally made an option on there for 99 cents. You get a special rank on Discord, all that good stuff. Make sure to join the Discord, link in the description below. If you become a member, you will get a special rank. You get access to members only post, fancy rank on Discord, dude. All my live streams will be available to you. Make sure to go check that out, guys, because I honestly would much rather be fan-funded than funded by Raid Shadow Legends. Anyway, that's my ad. Eventually, I find myself in the Seafloor Cavern, where I find TM26 Earthquake, which of course is a fantastic move. I'm pretty sure Swampert learns this anyway, but I'm impatient, and I want it now, and I still have Tackle, so why do I still have Tackle, dude? Archie did do some damage to me because he does have a little bit of a level advantage, but overall, it still wasn't a very hard battle at all. We also find out in this cutscene that Archie is also colorblind, just like Maxie, and he uses the wrong orb, and then Kyogre uses Fly, just like Crawdal. Rayquaza better watch out, dude. These dudes know how to fly now. Of course, they end up fighting it out, and Rayquaza is here to save the day, but that's not important because now we have to take on the 8th and final gym leader, Juan. Or as I like to call him, Juan Cena. I'm sorry. Now, this battle was super annoying because I would always get down to his Kingdra, and then he'd just spam double team, and I would literally end up losing because I don't even have a good move against Kingdra. But I figured out if I just lead off with my Swampert and spam Earthquake, it actually works really well. I finally make it to Kingdra with almost full HP, and I hit it with a few Earthquakes. He ends up freezing me, but luckily I instantly thaw out. I do end up unfortunately going down here because he does have Rest and a Chesto Berry, but I've done a ton of damage to him. At this point, I know Kingdra is low enough, so that way when I send out Bread, a Slash is going to be enough to take him out, and that's exactly what ends up happening, and we end up getting our 8th and final gym badge. This battle did take a few attempts, like I said, because of double team, but I was super happy to finally get past this very, very annoying battle. And next up is Victory Road and then the Elite Four. Now, at the current levels I'm at, there's absolutely no way we're winning, so I do have to do some grinding before I even take on Wally and Victory Road. Grinding, though, won't be too bad because Victory Road is actually a great place to grind. And after a bit of grinding, the team looks pretty good. Next is Wally in Victory Road, and he leads off with an Altaria at level 44, who ends up going for Safeguard as I decide to bait out his Roselia with a Surf, and then I go for a takedown, doing a ton of damage to his Roselia. It's not quite enough to take it out, but Wally does end up wasting a full restore as I decide to go for an Earthquake here. It is enough to take it out. Next out is Altaria once again, and this thing ends up going for a Dragon Dance, which can be scary, but my takedown ends up doing a lot of damage, and the Aerial Ace that he uses basically does nothing. I miss my takedown, and then he goes for a Safeguard, and then I decide to go for a takedown one more time to take it out. Next out is Delcatty. Now, I was debating on what's stronger here, Surf or Earthquake, and since I do have the Mystic Water, we do get a slight boost from Surf, so I think that it does more damage. I could have done the math wrong on that, but it ends up being a one-shot anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Magneton ends up going down to an Earthquake, and last up is the Gardevoir at level 45, which definitely is his strongest Pokemon, but it does end up getting taken down with only 2 Surfs. That was the last significant battle before the Elite Four. I don't think our team is strong enough to take on the Elite Four at this point, but I guess we'll see what happens. First up is Elite Four member Sydney, and he leads off with a Mightyena at level 46, and even though he does have Intimidate, I use Earthquake anyway because I know it's enough for a 2-shot. Next out is Cacturne, so I end up switching out into my Camerupt to take it down with a super effective Explosion, and next up is the Crawdal at level 48. After thinking about it, I decided to go out into Swampert here to hit this thing with an Earthquake because I know a water type move is coming, and I'm able to 2-shot it with an Earthquake, and next out is Shiftry, and I know that my Camerupt is going to be able to take this thing down. Shiftry does get me pretty scared here using Swagger, but luckily I do connect with an Overheat to 1-shot it, and last up is Absol at level 49. I should have went for Earthquake here, but I was stupid and I went for another Overheat, and I finally decided to go for an Earthquake, but he hits me with a Rock Slide, so I have the switch, and oh my gosh, dude, he is critting. Next, I decided to send out Crobat because I honestly thought a Wing Attack was enough to take this thing down, but it ends up surviving, and then 1-shots me with a Rock Slide, so I just end up switching out to my Swampert for the final KO. That was just the very first Elite Four member, and it was Elite Four member Sydney, so if we're struggling on Sydney, then I don't have a good feeling about the rest of them. Next up is Phoebe. Now, Phoebe normally isn't that hard at all, but I realized coming into this, I actually didn't use an Ether for Earthquake, so I'm just stuck using Surf. But as you can see, Surf's actually doing some really good damage because I'm able to actually 2-shot the Banette and 1-shot the Sableye. Next out is her other Banette, and I actually am able to 1-shot this thing, and last up is Dusclops, who goes down to 1 critical Surf, and that was my first attempt, and that was extremely easy. Wow, okay. Next up is Glacia. Now, this was another pretty tough battle, but I figured out I was actually able to lead off with Camerupt because Celio doesn't actually have any water type moves, as I use Squidward for fodder here for a safe switch. I decided to send out Bread next, and the plan was to put this thing to sleep and then chip it down damage wise. I didn't actually think I would KO it, but this thing actually wakes up only after 1 turn of sleep, which is the worst luck I could have, and I do end up going down, but I get a Yawn Off, which is going to be very helpful. 2 Earthquakes with Swampert was not enough to take this Walrein down, unfortunately, so it does get healed up with a full restore, but I do end up taking it down with 3 more Earthquakes after getting hit with an Ice Beam. Next out is Glalie, so I'll switch out into O just to use Yawn here because putting this thing to sleep is going to be very helpful. That way Blue is able to come in and actually use Earthquake to take this thing down. Celio gets 1-shot with a critical Earthquake, and last up is Glalie at level 52, who does hit me with an Ice Beam, but before I go down, I'm able to get off some good damage, and Among Us is able to come in here and finish the job. And as soon as I defeat Glacia, I realize my team is not built to deal with Drake at all. I tried to beat Drake forever. I've tried every strategy. I probably spent an hour in attempts just trying over and over again, and the farthest I would ever get is his Salamence, and then his Salamence would absolutely destroy me. And as much as I hate to say it, it looks like I do have to go back and grind and come back at a higher level because this is just not possible at this level. I come back with my team a lot stronger. I end up leading off with a Bread with this. Now, Shogun was actually really smart and would just protect every time I was able to move, but I figured out that he just let me put him to sleep, so I just took advantage of that. Next out is Altaria, and once I actually end up using Yawn and he falls asleep, he switches out into Kingdra, which takes a lot of damage coming in, but takes me out, so I switch out into my Crobat to take down the Kingdra, and here's the Salamence I'm worried about. I end up going for Confuse right here. I get super lucky and he ends up hitting himself in Confusion, and then I get a Poison with Poison Fang, so I end up doing a lot of damage to the Salamence. Unfortunately, he does get knocked in the full restore range, but my Camerupt is absolutely able to do a ton of damage with Rock Slide, so he ends up switching out into Flygon, which takes down O that I used as fodder. I decided to go for Takedown here on Altaria because it's the only move I have that actually does damage to this thing, and next out is the Salamence once again, and he gets healed up with another full restore. Unfortunately, Swampert does get taken down, but I am able to switch out Blue, and I'm able to survive with only 11 HP and take this thing down with a Rock Slide to defeat Drake, and that was a very intense battle. I'm so happy I finally won this. And finally, now it is time for the champion Wallace. Now, Camerupt is going to be absolutely useless here, so that's just another good team member that we're not going to be able to use. By the way, guys, if you are enjoying this video so far, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button because this Wallace battle is going to be intense. Wallace leads off off with an extremely strong Wailord, so I end up leading off with my strongest mon to use Earthquake because I am terrified of Water Spout. Luckily, he just goes for Rain Dance, and I'm able to take him out with only 2 Earthquakes, and next out is Ludicolo, so I end up switching, and I'm super scared here because of Double Team, but luckily I end up connecting with 2 Wing Attacks after he had 3 already set up, which was pretty nice. Next out is Melodic, so I use Squidward as fodder to get a safe switch in into my Slacking so I could hit this thing with Yawn, and then predicting the Toxic, go out into my Poison type so it doesn't affect anything, and then go out into my Swampert to deal some damage. Because Melodic had a Citrus Berry, I'm not able to knock it into full restore range, which is a good thing, so I'm able to take it down with only 3 Earthquakes. Next out is Tentacruel, who does have Toxic, but luckily he ends up going for a Hydro Pump, and I'm able to one-shot him, and next up is Wishcash at level 56. I need a safe switch into Slacking, so I decide to sack O here to get that safe switch, and then I go for a Yawn to put this thing to sleep. This thing luckily just goes for Amnesia twice, which is really nice for us because we're attacking physically, and unfortunately I'm not able to KO it as it looks like it was only left with 1 HP, as it does get healed up with a full restore and then takes me out with a Hyper Beam. Of course, I'm just short of taking this Whiscash out, and I end up eventually going down to Surf, but not after getting some good damage off, so I'm able to switch into Swampert to KO it with an Earthquake. I end up switching out my Swampert here just to get rid of the Intimidate, but Crobat actually ends up putting in work and does a lot of damage to Gyarados before going down to a Hyper Beam. He needs to recharge, so the only way we could lose is if Takedown misses, and of course Takedown's not going to miss. So Takedown ends up actually missing, and then I get hit with an Earthquake, and knowing my luck, this is going to critical hit, and if it does, I'm going to be... Hey, that actually wasn't so bad. Takedown actually connects, and I finally end up winning this battle. Hey guys, for real, this is the end of the video, so this is where like 90% of you click off. I hope you guys did enjoy, though. I genuinely hope you enjoyed because I worked very hard on these 2 videos for you guys. I'm sorry it took so long to get these 2 out. The last video, part 1 of this, did extremely well. And I just wanted to say thank you guys because I haven't had a video explode like that since almost 2 years, and I honestly thought the channel was just gonna slowly die, but somehow, some way, just things work out in good ways, I guess. I just can't thank you guys enough. I'm gonna try to use this little spark that the channel has once again to entertain as many people as will put up with my stupid freaking videos. So once again, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and hopefully see you in the next one. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace out.